So these symptoms really continued pretty heavily for about 5 years at this kind of new normal of me never feeling like I had the level of energy in my mind, body, and soul that I felt God created me to have. I kept seeking out, like, what is this? What is this? And God led me to a different medical practice where I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme's disease. I have not had a symptom in 59 days. And it's not just been the digestion, it's been everything made new. I have more energy than I've had in 9 years, maybe in my whole life. I'm not the same person. I'm genuinely, I've been made new. My name is Phillip McClure. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I work for Mitsubishi Electric as a recruiter, and in 2009 I was working in retail. I was on my feet every day, and just one morning I woke up and all of a sudden I just felt fatigued, and all day every day it was very difficult to be on my feet. This kind of set me on a beginnings of a journey to try to figure out what was wrong with my health. I started having some other symptoms. A normal person would get a cold, but for me, I'd get a cold and for 5 to 7 days, and then I would lose maybe a cough or lose the nausea, but I would still feel fatigued, and I would feel muscle weakness, and I would feel tired, and I would need a whole bunch of sleep, and that would sometimes last for 2 to 3 months after a cold. I kept seeking out, like, what is this? What is this? And God led me to a different medical practice where I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme's disease. And I had this one day where we had made some homemade almond butter, which again, just a couple weeks prior, or a couple days prior, I had eaten it and my body had responded fine to it. I took a bite, and then I sensed, oh no, my body's not liking this either. My stomach started making sounds and started moving in ways that I had never experienced before. Essentially what had happened was I had triggered my first ever autoimmune response in my digestive system. I no longer had the ability to eat foods outside of a very, very tight range. When everyone could eat all these foods, I started having to live on foods that were like this. So after the damage, I started having other manifestations of physical illness. My body stopped processing foods properly. My skin color changed and it didn't look healthy. I looked pale and kind of yellowish a little bit. I lost, I think 20 to 20, it could have been as much as 25 pounds at my lowest. Being a 32, 33, 34-year-old man and trying to walk up steps and being fatigued just from walking up one flight of steps was unbelievable, really. The beginning of 2018, I was introduced to 2 teachers, Todd White and Dan Moeller, and I really started leaning into some of the things that they taught, and they preached the finished work of Christ and what He paid for on the cross, which includes healing in a powerful way that I had never heard in my entire life. And I just started leaning in and believing it. So I had a conference on my calendar for 3.5 months. Specifically, it was the Power and Love Conference, where Todd White and Dan Moeller were teaching, and I was just blown away by some of the ways that they talked about what Christ had paid for on the cross. Now, the first night of the conference, I ended up sitting next to this woman named Christy from Greenville, South Carolina. I didn't tell her anything of my story. I didn't really know her. We were just simply sitting next to each other, and towards the end of the first session, where a guy by the name of Tom Rotolo was speaking, he asked us to pair off and to listen to the Holy Spirit as to what to pray for one another. And one of his things that he had discussed was how to listen to the Holy Spirit. And he talked about how when we're listening to the Holy Spirit, sometimes He'll give us a word, sometimes He'll give us a picture in our mind, sometimes He'll give us a physical feeling on our body. And when Christy and I paired off, she specifically said, I just feel like I need to pray for this part of your body. because the whole time I've been sitting next to you, I've been having, reflux, and I just feel like my stomach is all out of sorts. And I was like, yes, I have Lyme's disease. I've had it for 9 years. It's been destroying my digestive tract for the last 3 to 4 years. So that is absolutely a word from God. So she laid hands, she prayed for me, and it was an amazing rest of the day. I go to sleep about 1 a.m. that night, and at 5:50 in the morning, so this is now about a day and a half, 36 hours after this woman had prayed for me, I woke up, my eyes shot open, and the only way I can describe it is I supernaturally knew that I was healed, and I was more filled with the presence of God than anything I've ever experienced in my entire life. I got up, and within 15 to 20 minutes, I'm taking a 2-mile walk, and I'm so filled with physical energy, spiritual, tangible presence of God that, I'm giggling and like practically skipping. I mean, it's just unreal. Just how, just the moment was so tangible, and it marked my life, forever in such a way that I know that I'm healed, and I have had the joy of now walking that out for today's 59 days, where I've been able to redeem so many things. Within 48 hours of being healed, I had pizza for the first time in 5 years. I had a brownie for the first time in 5 years. I had a cheeseburger for the first time in 5 years. I have not had a symptom in 59 days. And it's not just been the digestion, it's been everything made new. I have more energy than I've had in 9 years, maybe in my whole life. My wife has said, in my presence, and really in the presence of other people who have known me for years, which is just amazing to say this, that she doesn't even recognize me since I came home from the conference. I'm not the same person. I'm genuinely, I've been made new from what Christ has paid for, and it's really fun living now. I joke with people, but I'm really not joking. It takes a lot not to do cartwheels all day, every day. And I've had the privilege of sharing my story now with, I want to say well over 100 people in the last 60 days by the grace of God. So that's my story.